Hi, Years and Life. I'm with my new friend, Andrea Miller, who's an author, editor, parent, meditation practitioner. And I discovered her book, The Day the Buddha Woke Up, through the Twitter sphere, through Lion's Roar. And I was really intrigued and asked her to come and chat with me for a little bit. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me, Daniel.
Well, I really appreciate you joining. Thanks. So I loved the book a lot. I thought it was a beautiful introduction for people who don't have any information about the story of Siddhartha, about the experience of enlightenment, kind of what even all that means. I'm wondering if you could talk about the book a little bit.
Sure. So, as you alluded to, it's the story of the Buddha's life and teachings, but it's for very small children. So it's condensed and it's in really simple language. Because of course, those are really complex topics. So it had to be age appropriate. Mm-hmm. And the essential point of the book is that true happiness is possible. And it's achieved not through, material success or like having things, having power. It's achieved through enjoying this moment and being happy with this moment just as it is without wishing that it were a different moment.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. What inspired you to write a children's book about the Buddha?
Oh, well, that was my daughter, really. My daughter, she is my first child, mm-hmm. and I'm a reader. And so basically, as soon as she came home from the hospital, I started reading books to her. Mm. And at first, I was reading my own novel, the novel that I happened to be reading. That's what I read to her. And she was okay with that for about a week. The world was very new and, my voice was interesting. Mm. But she was kind of a cranky baby. And so after about a week, she was done with that. And she really wanted a book that was for her age group. And so for a really small child. And mostly those are board books, mm-hmm. Like the really hard, durable books that small children can be really rough with.
Chew on,
exactly. And so I started reading board books to her and other really like pithy picture books. Mm-hmm. And that was great. And I started really developing an appreciation for that form of literature because, of course, I didn't really never read board books before having a child. Right. Never even thought about them. Right. But it didn't take me long to realize that there were no Buddhist books for really small children. Mm-hmm. And so I decided to write one myself. Mm-hmm. And because it was the first one, I felt that I really had to start at the beginning and start with the Buddha himself. Mm-hmm. And so I did that. And I was really keen to basically present the Buddha to small children because I feel like their brains are really developing at that point in their lives. And, they're very impressionable. And though they probably won't remember reading the book when they're a grown-up, I feel like it's kind of planting a seed for them. And it makes me think of the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh from Vietnam. He talked about in his childhood, he read a magazine once and he saw a picture of the Buddha. And he was really moved by the peace and the equanimity you could see in the Buddha's face. And that was really what first put the seed in him. Mm-hmm. To sort of follow the Buddha's path and eventually become a monk. And so I guess I just hope that the day the Buddha woke up, maybe not that they become a famous Zen master, but that it's, yeah, why not? But that it kind of plants a seed in them to find some sort of peace and happiness and equanimity in their lives.
Beautiful. Yeah, to lay out the possibility that you can have this. And as you lay out in the book really skillfully, it doesn't have to do with material possessions. It doesn't have to do with achievements. It's really resting, breathing, and opening up to the present moment in which all these beautiful, wonderful things are revealed. And I think it's really profound that you're interested in sort of planting these seeds. And it's not a hard sale. You're just showing kids like, this is possible. You can do this. Really
That's
wonderful.
exactly right. Thanks. That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
I'm curious talking about that because the book, again, very skillfully in a age appropriate fashion, introduces meditation and mindfulness. And I'm hoping you can speak a little bit about your understanding of mindfulness and what all that means. It's thrown around a lot, but what does it mean?
Well, from a Buddhist point of view, mindfulness is one part of a complete path. And so that path is the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Mm-hmm. And that can be divided into three parts. So you have moral virtue or ethics, so like ethical living. And then you also have developing the mind, so like meditation, that's concentration, mindfulness, that kind of thing. And then you also have insight or wisdom. Mm-hmm. And so mindfulness as a part of this whole path is really an important part because it both supports and is supported by other parts of the path. Mm-hmm. So for example, if you're mindful, you're not just mindful of yourself, mm-hmm. you're also mindful of other people. Mm-hmm. And when you're mindful of what's going on for other people, you're paying attention to what's going on for other people, then compassion and ethics naturally arise. Mm-hmm. And in terms of wisdom or insight, when you're mindful, you're paying attention, you're noticing sort of the deeper truths about life, patterns, mm-hmm. and so you gain insight that way. So, for example, perhaps you are somebody who really likes to shop. It gives you a momentary feeling of exhilaration when you buy something that you don't really need. Mm-hmm. But if you're mindful, maybe you start to really look at how that feeling of exhilaration unfolds. Does it last? Does it have any lasting value? And if not, maybe you can start to contemplate what would nourish you more. Mm-hmm. So basically this is it. When I think about mindfulness, I think about it in terms of one part of a complete path.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I love that answer. I love the simplicity of the ethical orientation leading to the practice of concentration, which helps develop wisdom. But in this simplicity, it's very sophisticated because it's in some capacity linear, but then it folds back in on itself and it continues to nourish. And I guess it leads us to this concept of waking up, right? So seeing things potentially as they are. You talk about it in a way that feels both gradual and also in certain aspects instantaneous. Right?
Exactly.
So with that, you are a parent. Remaining mindful in the role, duty, privilege of parenting is, shall we say, challenging? If you can talk about that, what it's like, victories, struggles that come up in mindful parenting, if you're comfortable with that phrasing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's challenging. Children are not little robots. So no amount of mindful breathing on the part of mom and dad mm-hmm. is going to, completely eliminate meltdowns or completely ensure that your children always have their listening ears on. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't work that way. And I think that's important to recognize. It's important to have realistic expectations about life and about what mindfulness can and cannot do. It's not a magic bullet. Mm-hmm. But that said, I do really think it helps me to parent better. Mm-hmm. It makes me more aware of what's going on for me mm-hmm. and what's going on for my kids. Mm-hmm. So, for example, am I hungry? Because these are like the little things that can really get you off the rails. Am I hungry? Are my kids hungry? Am I tired? Are my kids tired? Mm-hmm. Am I sort of preoccupied about something that's going on at work? Or are my kids maybe a little off because there are some changes at school? And if kind of there's yes to any of these things, then I can sort of think in advance, well, what kind of sensitivity do I need to have to adjust to this? So that's really helpful. It helps keep things,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, helps keep things sane.
Yeah, it helps you stay awake to the present moment of parenting. And it sounds
Yeah.
like practice keeps you returning to the present
Yeah.
practice of parenting.
And in terms of victories, I think that for me, it's seeing the fruit of it. Like when I see that I'm raising children who are loving and who are able to find creative solutions and to things that are like, kind, wise solutions. Mm-hmm. One example that came up that recently is that my kids are kind of competitive with each other, mm-hmm. and they're 3 and 5, and so they always want to see who can do something the fastest, who can do it the best, and they often race and to get who can get to the car first, who can get home first, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But then there's always a winner and a loser, and like one person feels bad. But recently they've discovered all on their own that if they hold hands, they arrive at the same time and everybody's happy. And so when I see something like that, I feel that that's a victory. And I wish that grown-ups would proverbially learn to hold hands a little more.
Right. Yeah, what a beautiful image. Well, it's good to know that they'll be the grown-ups soon enough. Well, I really honor the fact that you're willing to put this work out in the world. I thank you so much for talking to me. I'm a big fan of the book. I think this type of information, I would say, is crucial, encouraging children, encouraging people to widen their perspective, to see other people is maybe more important than ever before. So thank you so much for spending some time talking to me about it. And I wish you ultimate success with this.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful talking to you.
Take good care.